Hi, good afternoon. The date is June 13th, 2022, and my name is Rafael Martinez. I am the president and owner of D4 Investigations out of Hudson, Florida. I am also a former federal agent. I was a criminal investigator. I was a special agent for U.S. Customs Service and ICE. I was also in the EA task force and also the Financial Crimes Task Force. And I'm now a private investigator and executive protection agent. I wanted to create the reason why I'm giving you my bona fides is because I want to do a video on a response really to some of the comments I've been seeing online and social media. It seems to me like people are not understanding the implications of cryptocurrency on our money in general. It's a commentary on money in general and cryptocurrency in particular. So basically, the argument that I particularly addressing, we were talking about Bitcoin's dropping to 27,000 17 hours ago. I think it's at 23 now. And some people are saying that Bitcoin has no value, and then some people are saying such as my wife, she are backing XRP and Algorand and all these other what I call centralized cryptocurrencies because they're not decentralized. To give you understanding, you got to understand the history of money. I'll give you. This is not going to be a short video. This is going to be somewhat lengthy. I want to try to make it as brief as possible. So, in order to understand money, you have to understand that there's a few things, few traits you have to understand about it. Hold on one second. Let me get my notes up. Okay, so there's 7 traits of money. All right, it's got to be durable. So, in other words, let's say gold and silver have been the definition of money for 1,000 years. That's the reason why they call it value so long. They're durable. The only thing that can make it that's the reason why we don't use things like that. Wheat, corn, rice, those have been used as water items for millennia. It also must be divisible, which is why we can't divide it up. You can't make change. It also must be portable. Again, the more it weighs, the harder it is to take from central place to place, which is why gold fell out of favor for a while. Paper by now. It must also be uniform, which means one piece of gold or $1 needs to be exactly the same as the other. It also has to have an intrinsic value, which is the reason why we've had gold and silver as money for so long, because they have other uses. Gold has a bunch of industrial uses. Silver has a bunch of industrial uses, but especially silver. There's actually some studies that I found that said that there's actually more gold above ground than there is silver. And the reason being is that silver is an industrial metal for so long, a lot of it's ended up in landfills. So if scarcity gives value, the reality is silver should probably be worth more than gold, but it's artificially manipulated price. And I'll discuss that at length. I'll discuss that today coming up. It should be limited in quantity. Now, that being said, if scarcity gives value, that means that let's say there was 100 Mickey Mouse. Just an example I got from Mike Maloney over at goldsilver.com. If you had 100 Mickey Mouse cards and they're worth X amount of dollars, if the car manufacturer, the original car manufacturer, decided, well, we're going to make more of them, indistinguishable from the ones that originally were released. Well, you add another, say, 100,000 Mickey Mouse cards to the supply. All of a sudden, it reduces the value of the original 100 Mickey Mouse cards. And that's the problem that we're having with dollars. They're printing too many dollars. So it's reducing the value of the dollar, and and as a consequence, reducing your spending power. Gold is harder to do. This is why governments hate gold. They hate gold being restrained in their spending ability by having to actually have gold and silver on hand when they can just print it, money or currency. They have to distinguish that. They cannot print money there, but they can print currency out of thin air. They don't like to have that restriction, which is why we went to paper currency. And even worse, we went to digital dollars. It's only going to get worse. I'll get into that later. And it should have a history of acceptance. So gold and silver have been money for 6,000 years. The US dollar has been the global reserve currency since the Bretton Woods Agreement after World War II. And most recently, Bitcoin has made its mark globally as the new or the most popular digital currency in the world. So much so that countries like El Salvador and I want to say Georgia, I can't remember. It was El Salvador for sure, have made Bitcoin legal tender. And you can also buy, things online. You can buy air travel. You can buy goods and services online with Bitcoin, and so that's what they mean by acceptance. So the more accepted it is, the more you can use. The more you can use it as money universally. All right. That being said, the difference between the dollar and gold is, again, as I stated, gold cannot be created out of thin air, so it limits the supply. Whereas dollars can be printed out of thin air, or more accurately, created out of thin air just by a few keystrokes. Now, that being said, doesn't mean tomorrow somebody couldn't discover a giant vein of the gold supply. That absolutely can happen. But as it stands right now, they're artificially inflating the gold and silver supply through electronically traded funds, the futures contracts. And basically, they're saying, okay, this amount of gold in the supply line right now is available. We are now issuing out these futures contracts at the same price as this gold supply that we have right now. We're issuing out these futures contracts saying that we deliver gold to you at the price that we have it now, and therefore we're expanding the gold supply artificially. Okay, so the reality is that if you got rid of all the ETFs, gold should be 16,000 an ounce. And the reason why this is important is because they not only manipulate the price of precious metals this way, they are not manipulating the price of crypto in this manner. And so what happens is just explain how they did it with precious metals. And in fact, Deutsche Bank just manipulating the price of silver. Not too long ago, they were prosecuted and they gave up. Everybody they included was all the other banks. And basically, the guys said they would send out emails. And we're going to buy a bunch of silver this morning, then we're going to flash, sell it by lunch. Who's in? And so collectively, using all of their, they were buying silver, drive the price, and then at lunchtime just crash it by selling it all at the same time. So when Bitcoin came on the scene, so basically, adoption. It's the first time that the government tried to stifle any competitors. There was a short-lived venture down in Costa Rica guy created what he called and basically people deposited I think it was gold. People would deposit gold with him, and he would create digital dollars on his own network outside of the Swift banking network for people to transact. And it basically bypassed our ability to censor transactions and track their transactions. So we literally went down to Costa Rica and we shut it down. You know, what's that one? Standing saying, because it's a bunch of feed and they like competition. That's right there. So they lost the first attempt on showing off the centrally controlled money supply, monetary system. So it was clear, especially Nakamoto as the activist, for the person or persons that created Bitcoin. Clear to them that they had to be honest and they didn't know who created Bitcoin, or or they would come after them guns blazing. And absolutely, there have been just at the time, anybody that's ever claimed to be Satoshi Nakamoto has been raided, jailed, and all kinds of other. Decentralized, they created all blockchain. Blockchain is the mining rigs, all the Bitcoin blockchain mining rigs are all running together, and basically it coordinates it. Makes them witnesses to transactions on the blockchain. Right? They're all witnesses, and they all have to work trying the same transactions. They're all. Let's just say you're in the middle of the room. In the middle of it is a table where people are conducting transactions. It can be anything. It can be a card game where everybody's playing with chips. And let's just say there's a bunch of accountants and looking to see transactions happening, and they're all recorded on their ledgers, on their paper ledgers. If transaction goes through, or somebody posts a transaction that at least those accountants did not see, it gets kicked out, and that's fraud. Okay, that's why the blockchain is so dangerous to the central banks, because it precludes them from ever getting control of the transactions, being able to censor, to be able to really tax them. So let's talk about some of the each of these miners have to agree to run the same code, otherwise they fork. That if they have to work with Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, they just so if you buy Bitcoin at say 3 cents a piece, and it's decentralized blockchain, so absolutely different computers in the world, it's impossible to multiple servers to actually get to the blockchain network. Somebody so they, as opposed to say Swift, so the banking network is old and antiquated, but more importantly, it is centralized. This can be controlled by I think it was the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland. But um, they run the network, but we effectively control it because we are the reserve currency and the only remaining superpower. They get money out of there and sanctions. They can uh, see all your transactions. And the reason uh, there was a story that I read once in an article. It was a woman that went to Target based on her credit card spending. Because the coupons being printed out against the price. Right, you she before they were also take happy whatever certain people within a few community and say these attacked by the SEC or sued by the SEC, and they just now they what's why again he said he has called Nexus. is points, NFCs, NFCs, that's no longer your call. The reason I say engineered of what they call the quantum plane. Acknowledgement came in the form of saying that there was the official being unrigged election. And then exactly if you follow the same and Captain also fits was Secretary Housing or who runs the they plan on so that they can track they fly a plane, they take a bus, train. Decentralized. There's monthly visible actions, but again, it's because it's decentralized. The government can't censor it. They can't use it as an economic status because there's a reason why countries are slowly adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, and the reason being we're no, it's home and every other empire that's ever existed. It has to come to an end over there. But in our desperation, we have gone from military power to computers to using meetings possible to get it away. And basically, like and everything, the straight warfare, then they're getting activated. So it's a good example of it. I think it's very much this business. Sanctions. We've been doing this. It's not a lot of weekend and sanctions on the country. Even targets saying the rallies was actually creating, I don't know, creating countries between us. Said that they have to get up. And we're okay, economic warfare, social credit score, we talked about that. Again, I think there's been talk about central bank digital currencies, and basically, from what I can gather, it's central banks are okay. The central banks are going to attack the dollar. They know there's no staying at the end of the. You know, and that's not just the dollar. That's the fiat currencies are going to go. And the reason being is that there's too much debt out there. Just in the amount of toxic debt derivatives. If you haven't watched the short, please do. The financial crisis highlighted this problem in the housing market. So basically, what they were doing was they loans together and turning it so let's say a bank had 7 loans out. They would pack them up in any moment, and that means you stand. What they were doing was they were basically saying, okay, well, if we package these loans together, on average, most of them, so we're going to sell it mass. And we'll package some A credit loans with some B credit loans, and then eventually, they're packaging A, Bs with Cs, and so on and so forth. And it just became toxic. It was that's the reason why they were lending out. Dogs' names in for applications as family members, and they were giving it stuff. They were giving them stuff. And so ticking speeds. So it's basically the amount of time that all the banks, it's as high as 200 billion. So there's just no coming back. It's just down there. It just got, they and so for all those tough subjects, but the big talk is about student loans. So student loans are another ticking time bomb. You have some car loans, some credit cards. There's a whole bunch of debt out there that is ticking time bomb. So they're going to destroy the fiat currency, introduce central bank. Next is that's not the going. This is where it has to. Perfect. So it's the email. We know email is probably the worst ways to communicate because even though your inbox on say Google might be encrypted or it may be secured from people peering in from the outside. I mean, Google's reading it, but for the sake of argument, let's just say they're not. That's the reason why the terrorists were writing emails to each other inside the email address and then save them as drafts and then basically communicating in drafts. They didn't want to send it outside of the email service because once you send it out, it is sent out in the clear. It is not encrypted. Anybody A to B that's one can see everything in that email. So the analogy for that would be postcards. You send out a postcard. Anybody that gets their hands on it from A to B can pick up that postcard and see what's written on both sides, as opposed to say encrypted email messaging, be like in an envelope. You can't just open it without breaking the encryption. But email is so old that we still haven't gotten past using it, even though encrypted messaging is infinitely better and more secure. We still haven't gotten past using emails, and it's hard to get people to change. I know my mother's email address, so she wants me to send her stuff there instead of, us getting together and everybody getting on Signal or on Telegram. It's just easier for her to ask that, okay, just with that. So that's network effect. So if they convince us, if they can, if they can put out enough FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are not sound currencies, they can lure us when they crash the fiat currency into decentralized currencies. The problem is, once we're in network, again, we go into network effect. There's no way you're going to get everybody to again change from Ripple to a safer currency like Bitcoin or Litecoin or any of the other decentralized currencies. Once they're in, and then once they get everybody on it, and the world's using it, whether it's to buy groceries or buy supplies from manufacturers in China or whatever, it's going to be impossible to get out. Yeah, so I'm going on here, guys. So I'm trying to explain this. So once you're in though, and once they have accepted it as mainstream, then they can do direct taxation. They can censor transactions like firearms purchases, ammo purchases. If you want to work, buy a little marijuana, you're not going to be able to do that either. This is why we do not want central control of any currency that we adopt. It is important. It is absolutely dangerous to the private citizens. It gives the governments too much power, and it gives them a means of whacking each other over the head. It's like, again, going back to the Russian sanctions. It should not be used as, we were basically given the privilege of presiding over the global reserve currency with the Bretton Woods Agreement, and we abused the shit out of it. All right, not only putting countries and populations within them, but also us, the citizens ourselves. We now have they've conditioned us to think that them having control over the financial system is somehow a good thing, but I'm telling you, it's not. The fact of the matter is, we don't even need due process in order to get your accounts. As a federal agent, if I thought that you were involved in drug trafficking, if, let's say, I don't know, that's what, and sit there, freeze your account, have you explain, basically make you guilty until proven innocent, have you explaining why or where the money came from, why are you doing the transactions, and so on and so forth. So sorry guys, let me there we go. So that being said, I'm worried again. We're not the wide to these centrally controlled crypto, or I'm naming it controlled cryptocurrency. I'm going to call it DCs and real as digital currencies and decentralized as crypto. Currencies are always bad. Anything that has a centralized control or centralized points of weakness are bad for us. And DC is better for financial transactions than digital currencies is because I know that some of the qualities of money. It's still a currency, but it is money is strictly a measure of productive output. How much value of output is worth. Whether you are investigator, it's worth X. If you are paying X people to you not notice that when you got the same be the same Bitcoin in I don't know cheapest whatever anywhere in the world that Bitcoin will be worth the same. You buy Bitcoin, it's worth $27,000. The beauty of cryptocurrencies is that it is a millionth of a Bitcoin, which are called Satoshis. So if you own one Bitcoin and it's worth $100 million, break that down to a millionth of a Bitcoin. That's Bitcoins. You can buy fractions of Bitcoins. So which is why I encourage people to buy cryptos, even if it's not Bitcoin. Go buy but please, I'm gonna make my stand here. What gives those decentralized cryptocurrencies their value is the sheer fact that they cannot be censored, they cannot be manipulated. You cannot walk back transactions. These are and again, level although Bitcoin they can't. Ripple comes down to is centralization. Don't trust anything that's centralized. Weakness. If means if and it's